Priya, this is a lovely little cake or torte that my godmother used to make for me. Now, Northern Italian cakes are usually quite dry, like a biscotti, that sort of thing, where they're dry and crunchy, and this is what this cake's going to be. But it is really delicious.
I'm
Lots of
excited.
great ingredients. Now, normally you would make it in a mixer, but I like to make it by hand because that's what my godmother, Auntie Rena, would do with me. I'd sit on her knee and we'd make this together. Now, it starts with 2/3 of a cup of flour, and I'm using really, really good flour. Nice and fine, and that's the secret to it. The next thing I'll add to that is some hazelnut meal. So you can buy it already ground up, or I prefer to grind it up myself. So I get the Magimix out, give it a bit of a grind. When you blitz it yourself, it's quite chunky, and that's what I like about it. Some semolina flour or corn flour, because in the north of Italy, they have a lot of corn, and that's where polenta comes from. So this is corn that's been ground down to make a nice flour. And it's a little bit white, which is beautiful. And also we need sugar in there to make it nice and sweet, so in that goes. Now you're thinking, where's the bowl? How are we going to mix this? Very good question.
I was wondering, what is he... But of course, Richo in his hands, if he can use his hands.
Well, this mixture is all made crumbly. So I'll grab this egg, crack this and pop it into the centre there. And Priya, if you can pass me some salt, put a pinch of salt on there. We always add a little bit of salt to pastry because it helps to bring out the flavour, and we're using Murray River salt, which makes it delicious. I'm also using some butter. This is unsalted butter, and I've let it come up to room temperature. And you can see I've cut it into little pieces so it comes together beautifully. And also some wine, a little bit of white wine, probably 2 or 3 tablespoons to start us off. Now, this is my little bit that I would do. You could see me sitting on my godmother's knee, mixing the egg around. And I've been doing it for years until I got to about 19 years old and she said, Adriano, time to get off my knee, you know? But I'm just kneading this together with my fingers. And what I'm doing is, we call this sort of like the rubbing method. So I'm rubbing the butter and the egg and the wine into the dough nice and gently, because this is a really crumbly sort of mixture. You've done the right thing there, grabbing those pistachio nuts. If you can give them a bit of a chop up. It smells great, doesn't it?
It does. I'm loving the nut, you can smell the nut through it.
That's the best.
And the wine.
Exactly. And as you can see, that's about it. It's come together beautifully. And I'll just move it around like this to mop up all those little crumbly bits. Now, my little pro tip is grab some oil and give it tray a bit of a spray like that. Pop it onto the board, and then we grab some Glad Bake here.
Yes.
And this is my little trick. I tear off a nice piece of it, and I just give it a bit of a scrunch up like that, and then open it up. I like to scrunch it up so it just sits in the corners, and a little bit of spray oil in the bottom just holds the paper in place.
Sticks it down.
Exactly, exactly.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to grab some of this. You can have half of it there.
Oh, thank you.
And we're just going to sort of crumble it on the tray. What we're doing is sort of making a slice. So we can just sort of break it apart and then have it with an espresso, coffee, and you just push it down into the sides there.
Are these going on top?
Okay, sprinkle it on top. Just spread it all the way around there, and that's it. Go nuts. Grab some almonds, and I'll grab this sugar. Now, this is brown sugar, plenty of that on there to make it even more delicious.
Gosh,
Lovely.
this looks beautiful.
Now, this goes into an oven preheated at 175 degrees Celsius. It takes about 30 to 45 minutes. You want it nice and brown on top, and it should be nice and firm. Let it cool down, and then it will be fantastic. Into the oven we go.
Perfect.
Priya, we're ready to go now. So you sort of grab it like that and bust it into smaller pieces.
Beautiful.
And then I just stack it onto the plate here like this. Once we bust it all up into small pieces and bigger pieces.
I feel like busted up is a real Richo-ism. It wouldn't sound the same out of anyone else's mouth.
Richo-ism, I like that. And then we dust it with some icing sugar to make it even more pretty. Just smelling this smells like my Auntie Rena's house. This is what it would smell like. But we wouldn't be able to finish it off unless we have some coffee. I'm going to show you how we have coffee in our house.
Okay.
This is Cafe Caretto, we call it. I've got some chocolate here, so we put a little chocolate block in the bottom of the cup there, and then, of course, we add a little bit of adult flavour, just a drop of brandy. Just a little bit of that goes in there, and then we just pour some espresso coffee over the top of it to make it even more delicious.
Wow. So this is indulgence.
Well, you can call it indulgent. I'll just call it breakfast. Breakfast at Auntie Rena's, that's what we do. Now, you've just got to stir it around a little bit to make sure that the chocolate melts.
Holy moly.
We're loving this, aren't we?
Yes.
And the trick with this, Priya, is you've got to pick it up like this and have a little piece of that, dunk it into there,
Dunk it in. Wow.
It almost brings a tear to my eye.
That's probably nostalgia for you. I think it's a good tear, but that is crumbly, that is beautiful. It's really nutty.
That's what it's about. And you get the dryness of it. That's the style that they have in the north of Italy, and that's what it's all about. They also have great coffee with a little bit of liqueur in it and chocolate.
Next time I come over, Richo, please, this is on the menu.
Breakfast.